can talk about the Montclair Film Festival too. You know, Lost.
Oh, hello. What's up? That's right.
I think I better turn this off now.
Is the show on? Did we start? 5 seconds.
Yeah,
You want to throw it in your headphones?
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Blog Talk Radio.
For myself. No. Okay.
Okay, good. Expecting my guest soon. As soon as he comes in, bring him in.
Well, we're live anyway for all you people to hear us.
As soon
through
as
the
Daryl
music.
comes in, just send him right in.
That's
Yeah.
Thompson
all right.
Sanchez for all you people that can hear
Yeah.
my mom talking anyway. Even though the mic was open.
Yes,
But it's a K Thompson live show. It's her show, so she can do it however she wants
that's
to do.
absolutely right. And don't you forget it, young man.
I'm looking
Okay.
away. I'm going to get my
Yeah,
own show,
I
everybody.
know.
I'm breaking out. I'm growing up. I'm flying the coop. I'm getting my own show. It's going to be Eric Payne talking. Shh.
Oops.
I'm just talking about
Yeah.
EP.
Okay, that's all right. Okay, this is Kay Thompson Live. I'm Kay Thompson, everyone. How are you? We have a dynamite show for today for you. We're going to be talking to Dean Daryl Moore. He is the new dean up at William Patterson College. Wait until you hear what we're going to be talking about. If you are interested in higher education, I'm quite sure you are, you're going to find out some very interesting things, about William Patterson College in Patterson, New Jersey. I used to teach there for a hot minute. That was right after the riots, when I went there. And I
Okay.
was angry, so angry. So,
So you're angry teaching?
yeah, no, I just didn't want, I had consented to do it, and that was during the time that they had, were setting up the various Black Studies departments in, the various colleges. And,
So that means you were teaching class like
angry.
Antisaki Shange.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
the first man, the father of the United States was George Washington,
That's not nice.
who was a slave owner.
That was the time.
Wasn't it really the father? That's kind of how you used to teach it when you're mad at the revolutionary 60s.
Yeah.
1 + 1 is 2.
What are you doing?
That would be the revolutionary math teacher.
We didn't do all that. We marched.
Right on.
And we also marched in the March on Washington. Believe it or not, I know I look very, very, very young.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
However you tell it.
As a
Mom.
matter of fact, as
Your
soon
story.
as Dean Moore comes in here, I'm going to tell people, give a little secret out, But he is really fantastic. Daryl is, wow, I'm telling you, he is the new dean. He
Of
was
what?
hired of he's a professor of visual art, College of the Arts and Communication Power Art Center. He does a lot with Chinese art.
Is that his book?
He has traveled. Yes,
Can I
as a
see
matter
it?
of fact, sure you can. Yeah.
Because we have the cameras here
Yeah.
for all you people that happen to be listening to us live
Right.
on Ustream and all those video
Let me
platforms.
get information.
We're gonna give you something to look at.
Now,
You people looking on the camera,
Yeah.
talking about you. Here, Mama, hold
Stop
the
being
hold
silly.
the book up towards
Yeah. Okay.
hold the book up towards the camera.
Oh,
turn
towards
it
the
around.
camera?
Here, this is called a camera right
Yes.
here.
Really?
And turn it around so the people could see it and give old Daryl, your
No, but
ex-student, a
what
plug.
I have to do, is look and find out certain stuff though, because I'm really very impressed with these, all of his things that he's done. He's not only been a founding dean and professor of graphic design of College of the Arts in California, Stanislaus College of the Arts. He was the founding, one of the founding fathers of that school. I'm looking to find that. His professional practice was with the Center for Design the Center for Design Education and Research,
Right.
Simpatico Design Consultancy, Visual Communications Group, uh, Senior Design, but let's see, Senior Design Professional Practice, all this, Rutgers University,
Mm-hmm.
freelance children's book illustrator. And I was surprised to see this because I write children's books. So, and I did not know that Dean Moore had done this,
Mm-hmm.
And it says here published illustrations and animation, partial client list.
Right.
So many people, Macy's, and in New York City, Harcourt, Brace, and Janovich, and so many other, big companies, Houghton Mifflin, rather, CityCam in New York City,
So
character
he's
development.
quite accomplished, to make a long story
Yeah.
short.
And this is such an unusual, area for somebody to go into. As a matter of fact, all of these kind of things that students learn to do in
Okay,
their
you're
art
getting-
and
no,
visualization.
no.
Yeah.
Are you-
Well, I'm showing you right now,
I
Eric.
know, but,
so
but
yeah,
I'm just saying. I'm just suggesting
yeah.
that you hold it.
Hold it up.
Look at this.
Okay. All right. So listen, I'm going to do this. What I'm going to do is there's a picture of Dean Moore in here when he was young, mirror, and if I can get it up here, the stuff in here is absolutely fantastic. This is the kind of things that he was doing. I don't know what the age was, but let me just try to do something with this. Is it possible?
How's that shot there, Muhammad? Okay, there you go. That's an open
Yeah,
page, and
really?
that's Daryl Moore, obviously to the left, and the only photograph on that page.
Yeah,
and when he was a boy, and those are his work. That's his work, I
Is that
assume,
something?
right? Why don't you close that so people can see the cover of that
Okay.
book?
Because that's not the only thing that he was doing.
Right,
This
but we
very
want
young,
we want people
so.
to see the cover.
Yeah.
So if they want to go out and pick
And
it
the
up,
name of this book is Passages.
Passages, and there you see it. And if you want to pick it
And,
up, we encourage you to go out and pick up his book if you're into design and architecture and
Yeah,
things like that.
yeah. So, and so many things that there's so many things that he has done that I can't even understand it.
Right.
He's worked in Beijing.
Mm-hmm.
He's worked in Shanghai. He's been in Mexico. He's been in London. He's been in so many China, South Korea,
Mm-hmm.
so many different places doing design. And he's going to explain more when he comes. A visiting lecturer, visiting professor.
Right.
3-term elected chairman, chair of art and design at Montclair State University. Where he was for a period of time. Appointed founding dean of the College of the Arts at California State University, Stanislaus. Okay, so many
Okay.
different things, and I had no idea.
Right.
And then he had mentioned me in his first book. So, and he
You were one of
very graciously said that I was one of those people because I was his teacher.
Right.
Yeah, a long time ago.
That's what teachers can do. They affect
Yeah.
students' lives for a long time, and
Yeah, and I
obviously
didn't even realize it.
they never really truly realize how much they affected students' lives.
Yeah.
But that was a good thing. I mean, that means you're a good teacher when you have students that feel that way.
Yeah, and I
When
was
when
really
you're a
glad to see
teacher that there's at least one student that can point to you as being the person who really influenced them. That must be really what teaching is all about at its core, and that's a great thing.
Yeah, I had fun teaching.
Did you?
Yeah. I think the Board of Education just put up with me because I was having fun. I enjoyed the kids. They were hilarious, and so I laughed. They learned,
Right.
but they learned my way.
Okay.
I had a particular way that I was dealing with kids. They liked me, I liked that. And if you didn't like me, well, you may get your butt kicked. I'm kidding.
And that's the
But-
old days of school when teachers could freely
Never really
kick
fun.
the butts of students.
No, we could never do that.
Right about now, you might get shot with some of these kids.
No,
now.
what I did
Not the
was save them from, various teachers and principals in this
Right.
case too, from, just holding them accountable for things that they didn't do.
Right.
See, sometimes teachers will do that. I had one principal that I worked with when I was at Maple Avenue School in Newark, New Jersey.
And they do what now?
And, they held one kid, they said that, this one principal said that this one kid did thus and so. And there weren't that many black kids in, that school, the schools in the South Ward at that particular time.
Right.
And when I came in and I found out they were, she and a group of other people were holding this young man, and I know exactly his name, I'm not going to mention his name now, accountable for something I knew that he did not do at all.
Right.
And of course, checking, and I came back with him. I said, no, you're not going to do that to this young man.
So I assume this young man was black, and the majority of teachers were white.
Exactly.
And I only say this,
Exactly.
folks, because I know about around the time my mom was teaching was probably around the 60s, early 70s,
Yeah.
late 60s, or mid 60s. So a lot of that was unfortunately going on in America. Still goes on
Sure
today.
it does.
Still goes on today. Just recently, that news story that came out a couple of weeks ago about the majority of students that get suspended in preschool are African American
Preschool.
and
Preschool.
Hispanic, and
Yeah.
with African Americans being the highest percentage, which is ironic because, as you know, we're not the highest percentage of people going to school. So it kind of, still prevalent today how certain people that have race issues are kind of railroad young kids of color and
That's
kind of pull the chains on their life that early on. And you're talking about a preschooler. You can't control a preschooler, so you have to suspend them.
Yeah, if
Wow,
you
that
can't
sounds crazy.
if you can't control a preschool, you should not be teaching. Period. All right,
4-year-old,
then the
'cause we're talking
teacher.
about 4 years
Yeah,
old, 5.
pre, 3, 4. We had a preschool along with the Thompson Dance Studio.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay, you don't treat kids like you don't scare them, little babies.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're a teacher, and I mean this very sincerely, if you're a teacher and you cannot control, through some method that you're gonna, first of all, you better love them. If you don't love them, don't teach them.
Right.
Okay, stay far away from them, leave them alone.
Right.
But at the same time, you have to maintain discipline. But there's ways of doing it.
Exactly.
And any teacher, and I'm saying this very seriously, and I feel very strongly about this. Any teacher or educator who suspends a preschool child, you shouldn't be teaching and you shouldn't be in education.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because that means if you can't control by some means, you're in the wrong profession.
Right.
First of all, you've got to like what you do.
Right.
And apparently a lot of people don't. And then again, a lot of people don't like a lot of people of different colors, and that still goes
Well,
on.
where I was going to bring it back to that.
Mm-hmm.
That's unfortunately still prevalent to this day. That there are people who just have issues with people that are different from them, and a lot of these people now are not used to the changing face and changing demographic of America. I saw a news report the other night about where on this news report, it was on the MSNBC. As you know, I'm a big MSNBC watcher.
Yeah,
everybody.
me too.
So
Yep.
we watch MSNBC, and I forget which one of the shows, Chris Hayes or somebody, but the statistic was that I just forgot the point I was going to make.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what was the point I was trying to make? Ma, help me
I
out
don't
real
know.
quick.
Statistic about what?
Okay. I just forgot the point. It just totally flew out of my head. We were talking about preschool kids, and there's a statistic that I was going to make the other day that I totally
About children and about,
that I totally
It'll come back. It'll come back in a minute.
forgot the statistic I was going to make. Oh, what's happening is that a lot of people are becoming conservative now.
Yeah.
A lot of white individuals who had identified with the Democratic Party when they saw the demographics about how America is becoming. How the majority Americans, meaning that they happen to be white because they were the majority, are now becoming the minority. And it talked about how these people, white individuals that were, and I don't know if it was all white individuals across the board, it might have been of a certain voting age, regardless of whether they're liberal Democrats or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe not liberal, but regardless of whether they're Democrats, kind of mainstream Democrats or whatever, when they saw the graphic and the statistic that said white individuals, white Americans are becoming the minority now.
Yeah.
Once these people recognize and are aware of that, they then become conservative. These white individuals leave the Democratic Party, leave that kind of liberal stance, and become identified with conservative Republicans. And it seemed to be a statistic that was across the board, regardless of the age. I'm not exactly sure. I think it might have been a certain age. Maybe millennials and those people don't really do that. But at this age point, showed that a lot of these people decided to become conservative Republicans when they found out that white people were becoming the minority in the country. So it's really it's unfortunate that people are so used to America being one way that they are just losing their mind. I mean, it was the beginning with that black Barack Obama getting elected was the beginning. And their world is just changing, and it kind of gives you a perspective of how does it feel to have the shoe on the other foot? Now the majority population is becoming the minority. And how do you feel about that? Are you willing to
Yeah.
accept that? Can you live in a country when you've always consistently asked black and brown people to live in a country where they've been the minority
Yeah.
and accept it and get along and really be a good citizen? Now it's your turn.
Yeah. True.
How do you
Yeah.
feel about that? Are you still down to be a good citizen, or and just that statistic that some of them choose to be conservative Republicans once they find out that the statistic that whites are in the minority now? It's interesting that it
Yeah.
almost seems like some of them have kind of a self-preservation thing because maybe they think that the black and brown people are going to take over and
Yeah.
society
Yeah.
might be flipped. But
Well, we're good, and the schools are changing,
Right.
and the courses that are being taught, in the various schools and colleges.
right,
And with Barack Obama, with allowing for equal pay for women, for money to be available for kids going to college. It is so expensive now.
right,
It's almost impossible to get a college education if you are not, of a certain financial level.
right.
And the majority of people, aren't, they
Right.
just don't have that. Going for a break, we'll be right back. And we're going to see if Professor Dean Darrell Moore is here yet. He probably had trouble coming, and so forth because of the whole Pulaski,
Let's go to a break. We'll be right back
Right
on the Kay
back.
Thompson Live Show.
Right on.
The views and opinions expressed on GoPro Radio Network shows are solely those of the speakers and are not necessarily the views or opinions of GoPro Radio Networks, Inc. or its affiliates. These broadcasts are provided on the understanding that they do not constitute professional advice or services. Individuals who speak in these broadcasts express their own opinions, experiences, and conclusions. GoPro Radio Networks and its affiliates do not necessarily endorse or oppose any particular opinion or conclusion discussed in these broadcasts. You may not edit, modify, or redistribute these broadcasts in any way without the express permission of GoPro Radio Networks, Inc. GoPro Radio Networks assumes no liability for any of your activities in connection with these broadcasts or for your use of these broadcasts in connection with your website, computer, or playing device.
You're listening to content developed by the GoPro Radio Network, the fastest growing network in the galaxy. GoPro Radio Network. Listen to the voices in your head.
And we're back on the Kay Thompson Live Show. I'm the son, Eric Payne. That lady over there just moved out of her camera shot, but
Yeah.
you got a little spinner thing on there,
A
brother,
spinner thing?
over there.
What?
There you go. I like to see when that technology. I know you like to use it too. I know you like to use that and then have your toys.
Because we are on video, that's
you
why.
want me to go up like here? I'll give you something to do. Give you something to do there. You
There
know?
he is.
And
Hi.
we're here at the Kay Thompson. We're being joined by our guest, Dean
Dean
Darrell
Darrell Joseph Moore.
You have 3 names there, sir.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
And-
my mama gave me this.
Your mom? And we shall never
I'm
not
keep it.
pronounce it. That's right. He's going to make sure he
Yeah.
uses every single one.
Just have a seat right here, and we're going to be continuing.
You know we got a radio show going on here, right?
Yes, I
youngster?
do, sir.
Oh, not you, sir. I'm talking to the lady with the door open. And,
Yeah, she's got a new hairstyle.
Thank
She
you.
looks so cute. Yeah, right.
That's right. That's right. So as we get Dean Moore set up on the Kay Thompson Live Show, going to be talking to us about design. So
What was just said? I don't have my mic on. I mean my headphone on.
headphones, mic.
Yeah,
Who
yeah.
cares, Mom?
We are
But-
having fun, Darrell. How are you?
Well, yeah, I know
Yeah,
that you
yeah.
have fun on this broadcast. I've tuned in a few times.
You tuned in a few times.
Should I tell the secret?
What secret is that?
Oh, the big
Wait.
So Eric
wait.
doesn't have this. He doesn't know about this.
He doesn't know about this?
No, not this. Oh,
He
yeah,
doesn't-
this.
Yeah, this is his book. This
Our,
is your
our
book.
secret.
Oh, well, no, he doesn't. Yes, he does. But Ayana doesn't know. Ty doesn't know. And everybody else doesn't know.
Oh.
I
So-
used to
so-
teach him.
Uh,
I was his teacher.
And I'll let you tell them when.
I'm not
Right.
telling them anything
and
else.
you did point that out initially, and that you were that you pointed out that my mom was instrumental in your development. You want to elaborate on that?
Oh, sure. Well, first, let's
What
nice.
person?
Oh, here? Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. Then I got to adjust to to the studio.
Uh-huh.
It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Last time I probably saw you, I was probably about five. I was probably in kindergarten over there when we were at Maple Avenue.
I don't know, but that's a while ago. Yes, yes. But yeah, you know, your mom was really instrumental in my development, and we met. I won't say the year, but I was a sixth grader. Okay.
Look at Diana.
Yes, yes. I was.
Yes, I taught him when he was in the sixth grade. Okay.
Sixth grade, and.
Okay.
Exactly. Exactly. So, but it was instrumental because, you know, I really struggled in, like a lot of children do, in elementary school, and let me see now. When I got to your mom's class, I had, you know, got through fifth grade. It was difficult for me. That experience was really my probably the brightest experience for me, you know, in elementary school, because just the way she had set the class up, the way your mom interacted with the students, you know, my classmates, and I was pretty quiet, very quiet.
Very quiet.
And she would.
Yeah,
she would
I remember
attest to
him
that.
sitting facing the class. Daryl would sit on the very end, that first row at the very end, and he would be sitting there like this. And just looking at me, watching my every move. And I remember the face.
Well,
you know, always.
it's easy to be, you know, focused on your mom. You know, beautiful
that age.
today, beautiful today,
Thank you,
beautiful
Daryl.
then. Oh, it's the truth, and I don't say that just because I'm sitting here with you. It's true. I mean it. And but you know, beyond, you know, her physical presence in the room. Just the engagement she had with the students, and for me in particular, it just opened me up. It was probably, that was my best year in elementary school in terms of grades, and I really, that had to do with your mom's approach to education,
Right.
you know, and again, that engagement that I didn't get. You know, I didn't get it. Probably that was the one year I got it at Maple. Perhaps to a lesser degree in my eighth grade class, we had a new young teacher who had come in who was really able to connect with us, you know, as we were about to go into high school.
Right,
so,
right.
But your mom really is, you know, and not that there's a list, but and my mom knows this too, because she knows who
Yeah,
my mom
yeah,
is.
Right.
yeah.
And so, you know, it's easy for me to talk about that,
Right.
because it was such a profound moment.
Right. And I was just telling my mom, you know, when somebody, as a student, you know, as we are students in our life, and when you could point to one teacher or more than one teacher that inspires you, that little extra thing that you talked about, almost like an epiphany.
Yes.
And it affects your life.
Oh yeah. Big deal.
And to be that for someone at any point in a teacher's career, I was telling my mom that's huge to have someone say that, and also being accomplished as you were, and actually put it down in literature. And to make that statement, so that's really a testament to that. Now, let me ask you: during that time, was it, you know, it was the '60s, right? So was it a racial thing
late
as
60s,
well as
late
a?
60s? Well, you know, I tell you, you know, Eric, that's a good question. I can say to you that I was, even though we know that period was tumultuous, particularly in North.
Yes.
But I was able to really enjoy that part of my youth, and a lot of that had to do with my parents and the way the way things were at home.
I see.
So while there were horrible things happening in the world, and not too far away from us, actually, you know, we, you know, ostensibly I grew up. That's Weequahic Avenue, but we moved there. We actually moved to Weequahic Avenue in, I want to say, 65, in 1965. So, of course, by
Gee,
67.
now you're really dating me.
Yeah, well, sorry.
God, that's all right.
But well, of course, I wasn't in sixth grade in 1965. So we'll just leave that there. But but that's, I think it's a testament to the environment I was raised in. So it's not that they kept, you know, that kind of information away from us because we had television, we had newspapers. But you know, the access we have to information today is nothing like that. You know, you exactly. We all know this. So you know, every now and then when we would get one of those disturbing bulletins from, you know, the death of Dr. Martin Luther King, I mean, that's when I would get that kind of information.
Right.
The neighborhood was a safe neighborhood, and so I spent most of my time just enjoying being, you know, a kid and growing up. So at Maple Avenue, I never had this. I didn't have the sense that there was any kind of bias based on who I was perceived to be as a person.
I see.
But there clearly was some kind of a bias, because I remember certain comments some of my earlier teachers had. I actually did 5th grade twice, so you know, and I tell students that because, you know, and I think when I look back on that time, I was trying to figure out, well, what was going on there? Why? But literally, in my own mind, I was not in the classroom, and I wasn't a troublemaker. I was never a troublemaker, but there was the engagement that I spoke about earlier in your mom's class didn't exist in the first class that I had at Maple Avenue, and so there was structure there. You know, I struggled with structure, I imagine, but I was just somewhere else. Today they call that the gifted child syndrome.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, but they couldn't reach me, and so I got through that year, and I remember the teacher said, "Oh, well, you know." And I would draw a lot. I would spend a lot of time drawing. That shouldn't come to a surprise to any of you here.
Right.
And I was in my own world. Really. And so I remember distinctly one of the teachers, because the classrooms were very close in proximity, so the teachers would go out in the hall and commisserate with their fellow teachers. And I remember the teacher kind of looking at me in a smug sort of way, saying, "Oh, well, you know, he's not going to get into arts high, you know, or he'll never get into arts high," or something like this. And she commented in particular, because my mom used to.
Was that a white teacher?
So-called, yes, absolutely. So but the majority of the teachers at Maple Avenue were white at the time. And I would come to school, my mom, you know, so wearing a shirt and tie and a jacket.
You would come to school wearing a shirt and tie and jacket?
Well, that was we had a dress code.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, there was a dress code. The principal had that, Dr. Gann, I believe.
Dr. Edith Gann.
And the boys
Not a
had
nice
to wear
lady.
shirt and tie. She was pretty tough. And so I, you know, that's what I would wear every day. And so she commented on, "Oh, and you know, he's so impeccably dressed every day."
Yeah, this is
So
where
it was really
what
bizarre.
Daryl wore.
Yeah,
and that's
actually how you were dressed every day. You came for business. You
That's
came.
it. Yeah.
I suppose.
You know, those little moments when children are so impressionable. When you hear even one word, you remember that.
Yeah.
And I suppose you were talking about that you were kind of quiet and stuff like that.
Very quiet.
And it just made me think about, bring it back to now, charter school versus public school. Where would you have been there? I mean, you know, would you have been one of the ones chosen to get into charter school, from what I'm understanding, with the criteria that they choose the best students? And my contention is that, and I'm sure you probably as an educator have known this, that kids that might not be as bright as other kids, or might not be as open yet to discovering their world, that some of that rubs off from being in the classroom with kids who are outspoken and smart. Some of that is inspiring, you know, when your peers are there and it's a discussion like my mother used to make it interesting. Then, like you, it encourages the other students. So it just made me think about the charter school versus the public school debate now.
Yeah, and that's kind of controversial these
Right,
days.
right.
I know, particularly in New York.
Exactly.
I'm not sure what the do we have charter schools in Newark now as well?
Yeah, we
Yes,
do,
we
and that's
still.
a serious issue as well
Right now.
in Newark,
Right.
with what the state is doing.
Okay.
So fast forward from there, you're at Maple Avenue, and then just your
yeah.
You know, I want to go
please,
back for
please,
a minute. You know, when I want to ask you both a question. When did you, at one time in your young lives, did you realize that there was a color difference, or that there was a difference between you and other students who just happened to be white? When? Because I remember when I was in kindergarten, and I think I told you, Eric, about the dancing with the broom.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I had it. It was in kindergarten, and I was the only black student in that entire school. This was in Elizabeth, you know, in a certain area. Weren't too many of us there. and there was like a class. The class at a certain point we would do social dancing, and we had a partner, and I had a partner, and one day my partner was absent, and the teacher told me that I had to dance with a broom.
Because you couldn't dance with one of the white
Right.
boys, right? Wow.
And when he was Italian, I found out later, and this other kid, and when I wasn't there, he would have to dance.
with a broom.
That's the one thing I remember about an elementary school.
Wow.
Isn't that something?
and
Then I knew, and I was saying, why, what's going, and that wasn't until later, but I felt like I was an outcast or something.
Yeah.
And that's kindergarten.
That was kindergarten.
And it's
really.
insidious.
I remember that.
They let you know. They let you know who you are, or what
Yeah.
what your color is for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But now that I know, you're in trouble. But
Did you want to go?
I'm sorry.
you
Just
go-
chronologically,
No,
we want to
no
get
problem.
to where you, how you come out of that shell that you're talking about. We got a minute to break, but
Okay.
maybe we'll go on the other side. But how
Yeah.
you come out of that and getting that spark, and then going to the next grade and have that to develop to where you are now. I mean, because you're an educator now, which
Oh,
is
sure.
a
Yeah.
remarkable thing.
Well, thank you for that.
Talking about where you're coming from, you know.
Sure.
And so maybe we'll go to a break soon because I don't want to start the conversation there.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
South African lady. And,
That's Diana Jones in master control there. Okay.
and so we can come back. Bless the movement, Winnie. We'll be back on the other side of the break. She's coming in.
We'll be back, everyone. Stay with us. Kay Thompson Live.
We interrupt this broadcast to bring you a great opportunity. If you have a product or service, a talent or something important to say, now's your chance to have your own radio show. Whether you're just starting out or a veteran looking for a professional platform to enhance your presentation, the GoPro Radio Network is the premier place to cultivate and share new and exciting content. We'll help you to grow your audience and keep it growing long after your first broadcast. Now you have a voice. Call 212-696-8562 today or visit www.goproradio.com and you'll be amazed at how easy and affordable it is to have your own radio show on the fastest growing network in the galaxy. GoPro Radio. Listen to the voices in your head.
You're listening to content developed by the GoPro Radio Network, the fastest growing network in the galaxy. GoPro Radio Network. Listen to the voices in your head.
And we are back, everyone. We are back on Kay Thompson. This is Kay Thompson Live with Eric Payne, my son, and with my adopted son, Daryl Moore.
Or just your other son.
My other
right.
son here, Daryl Moore. So good to have you, Daryl.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah,
I really
and I'm
appreciate it.
so glad to you've traveled all over the world with art and design. I didn't explain this adequately.
That's okay.
Design
You can talk
and the creative process
Yes,
because
yes.
of all this that goes with this.
Mm-hmm.
Like the children that were in different classes, if they were doodling, if they were drawing and whatnot, they were exactly what they were doing was creating art.
Right, sure.
You see, and I didn't realize that at the time because I was one of those. Remember, I used to draw those
Right.
little dance figures
Yep.
and all that sort of stuff,
Yep.
and do all kinds of creative, stones and tables and big pictures. Remember
Right.
that big African head
Oh,
that
yeah.
I did with
Yeah.
different stones?
I
and
believe
whatnot?
that's
It
where a
was
lot of us,
amazing.
the creative side, I know that came out. I was influenced by the creativity of my mother in terms of obviously being on stage with the studio and things like that. And also I remember, coming into school the next day after a parent-teacher night when your parents come and you guys left little drawings and both of you guys drew something in the art class, and I was impressed with how well my mother and father could draw at the time. So it was really impressive. But we want to continue with your story just to bring us up to speed to where
Yeah.
you are now. So,
Yeah.
so after sixth grade and eighth grade, so
Fast forward.
yeah.
Try to do that. Well, so surviving Maple Avenue, but and I think school is really kind of like that. I mean, we all have different experiences growing up, but as I've been fortunate enough to blessed to have children of my own now, one of the things I impart on them in terms of wisdom is that it really is about surviving. A lot of these environments, elementary school, middle school, high school, and so there were adjustments. We moved, from 114 Barclay Street.
Mm-hmm.
The street still exists, but the buildings are all gone now.
Barclay Street is
right across the street.
I think my grandfather used to live on Barclay Street way back.
Well, probably. Well, okay.
That
so
area, all those
another area.
Sounds,
right.
Yeah.
So right across the street from Stella White Projects.
Okay.
Yeah.
And actually, our apartments were kind of eclipsed by the Stella White Project.
Yeah, he was at 19 Barclay, I believe.
Okay.
Was this picture?
This is actually on this, and what you held up before,
yeah.
Kay, is that's a picture of 114 Barclay Street. We lived on the fifth floor walk up, 1-bedroom apartment. Now this was they were preparing it for demolition. It's since been demolished. And that's why I put that on the cover. That's the cover.
So.
That's the cover. That's the cover of a catalog that I was able to Dean DeCoca, who is the gallery director at Cal State Stanislaus, and a wonderful person I had the privilege to work with during my time as dean there. They wanted me to have an exhibition because they knew I was probably going to be moving on soon.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I thought, wow, a lot of the work that I had done was I had just moved so far away from it because I didn't have the 1 foot in the industry the way I did. I actually had 2 feet in the industry, years ago, working as an illustrator, designer, art director, creative director. And but he just, implored me to pull this work together and have this exhibition. So I said, okay, I would do it. And I'm really glad I did, because really up until probably a few months before we were supposed to get the work together, it's not that my heart wasn't in it. I was just not in the right place for it, but once we got the work up, it was just a great experience. And so part of what I wanted to do in terms of the exhibition, because you're talking about transitioning, I'll bring this back around to your question. It's not a straight line, to where you, for instance, where I am now,
right,
which is not going to be where I end up.
Right.
Because that's how I look at life. It's this journey.
Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say your journey in life is
that's
never
right. That's right.
The straight line you think is going to be.
Yeah, always.
When you make those plans, so.
It was the saying, life is what happens to you when you're making plans.
Yeah. Exactly.
People say
exactly.
That. So this idea of passages, and I wanted to go back to my roots, go back to Barclay Street.
I thought exactly that's what that was.
That's what that was about.
So with the apartments looking like that.
Yes. And then because it was, that was an amazing experience. It was there was an amazing beauty to that experience, but there was also an amazing horror to being in that environment, and because there were as many good things or good experiences I had on Barclay Street, I had some very difficult ones, and in many ways I think. I'm lucky to be here now to have survived that, to have been able to survive to my 8th birthday.
Right.
And we were able to move where it wasn't such a tough spot, and where every day you walked out the door it wasn't necessarily a day of survival. So it could be like that.
When did you know you had a talent? I mean, this real design and the creative process, the visual. Talent, the 3-dimensional talent.
Yeah, well,
And how did you end up, not end up, but how did you go from this to traveling throughout China and London and South Korea and all over the world,
Well, once I got into higher education.
I'll stop you right there because that sounds like that answer is going to be longer than the time we have to go for the minute break.
Sure.
And we don't want to interrupt it. So,
whoever's in master control there.
Anyway, we have a minute to break, which is probably 30 seconds now. If I get there. Is it time? Hello. Can we go to a break now because we're getting ready to embark on a rather lengthy, so I don't want them to start, and we want to go to the break now because, because I'm looking, it says 1 minute.
Yeah, somebody.
That's from before?
Yeah. Well,
you very
all
much.
need to change that, So we have 8 minutes, okay. It says 1 minute to break. Yeah.
Freedom.
That's
freedom now. You better take a long walk.
As you can see, this is a very casual kind of program. We've shaped it to.
We need you to take a long walk to the control pad. Never mind. Go ahead. Sorry.
No problem.
Dean Moore, we're trying to be serious today. We have the dean in us. Go ahead.
You were saying?
No, I wasn't saying that, lady. Sorry about that.
We got production.
Ayana Jones has come into the studio to straighten things out.
But I'm sorry, Darryl.
No,
Go ahead.
no
That
problem.
was so. Mom, you asked a question. How did you get from?
Well, yeah. So once I really the travel, being able to travel, is a direct result of my experience and the success I've had in higher education. So, and that goes directly back to, and I give a lot of that credit to Dean Jeffrey Newman, who was the dean of the College of the Arts at Montclair State University.
Okay.
When I became a faculty member there back in 1993-94, and that was after spending about 14 years exclusively in the industry working. You know, as I mentioned earlier on.
Right.
So after grad school, I realized I was very interested in working and teaching at the university level. But of course, you know, when you want to know something when you, if you forgive me for putting it that way.
Yeah.
I wanted really to be out in the world and get dirty and really learn.
Right.
And just experience what it's like to be a professional.
Right.
So I had that journey. It was a great journey. That path led me to opportunities right out of graduate school back in the early 90s. To opportunities at William Patterson, that's where I am now. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But to an opportunity at Montclair State College at the time. So they have a wonderful program there. But under really the tutelage of Jeffrey Newman, the dean, Dr. Newman, he believed in global education.
Yeah. Yeah.
He also believed in mentorship and he saw. I know that he saw. You know, when we met and I was able to spend some time with him, he was able to see that I had some ambition and I was very serious about, you know, coming to Montclair and hopefully being able to impart, you know, the knowledge I had gained in the industry on the students. And at that point, they were just developing a design program there, and that under the coordination of John Luttrop, who I met in grad school.
Now, the design program, when you say design, what does that consist of?
That's exactly my question.
so-
When people hear design,
It's very broad, and
Right.
it's a you know, so many disciplines in design. I'm glad you asked the question. And when you know, from two-dimensional design, so print. Now we see, you know, digital time-based things that you see online. You know, your website. You know, somebody lays that out. Design across disciplines, product design.
Excuse me.
Okay, so from iPods and iPads, sometimes, and that's also called industrial design. You know, the chairs we're sitting in.
Right.
I mean, we can't navigate in anything today without coming in contact with something that someone
Yeah,
has
has
designed.
designed.
Initial
Right.
design.
So that's how, and that's why I stay so excited about design in particular, design education. Because it has so many different applications and it cuts across so many different forms of media.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm leaving Saturday morning. I'm on a plane to Shanghai. I'm a guest speaker at an international forum on contemporary art and design education in Shanghai, which is being sponsored Shanghai, China, and that's being sponsored by Shanghai Institute of Technology School of Design.
Wow.
So it's you know, so when I talk about design, I talk about it in the broad. I didn't mention fashion design, but you get it.
But it's
Yeah.
there. And what I want to say as you say that, it spurs my mind, or it causes me to think about. That's really an area for the creative person. That kid that's sitting there doodling.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It
Or
can lead
that
to so
that
many
kid is
different
making a paper plane or something. Those minds, as opposed to people just blowing them off and say, "Hey, you know, slapping in the head,
Right.
pay attention."
That's right.
No, that mind is doing something that creative. So I always, and I've learned from watching how people interact with their children and things like that. Sometimes people say things as an adult that you really don't mean to say, or you don't know how it's going to affect the child.
Yeah.
Your parents so often say just things flip to their kids that they don't really, they don't mean it malicious, but they don't understand.
Right.
Sometimes that can affect your child. And so you want to take those, when you see that potential, that talent,
Yeah.
whatever it, even if you think it's negative, you want to encourage that.
Yeah.
You know, if you and when you talk about design, you talked about art design, and that was kind of in the world that I'm in entertainment.
Sure.
And you know, design, production design is someone who designs the whole look of the movie.
That's right.
Friend of mine.
Huge.
I have a couple of friends. Ruth Carter's Oscar nominated. She went to college with me. Oscar nominated wardrobe designer,
Mm-hmm.
and the butler was one of her big things, and just the whole design,
Costume
the
design.
periods and things like that.
Yes.
The various periods she needed to go through, and then find that. And another friend of mine that I met in the beginning of my career was a production designer for the plays that I did
Mm-hmm.
in New
Set
York off
designer.
Broadway, set designer.
That's
So,
right.
That's something.
but it's the
Yeah.
entire production design, how
Yeah.
the whole production is going to look if we're
got
doing
it.
a period piece, even the light. The lighting
Well,
design
the
has to
lighting
work with
designers.
it. So it's really a remarkable
Yeah.
thing how people work with that.
And the thing is,
Mhm.
it's design. See?
Yeah.
And people, and I don't mean, I'm not trying to be superficial with and emphasizing it, but people, we don't really appreciate it, and this is one of the things I try to do in the book Design the Creative Process that I wrote and was published in 2006 or 2007 actually, to really just herald the importance of design across disciplines, so that people realize how crucial it is
Right.
to everything that's going on today. Look at design is driving business. The new business models are being driven by creative processes, creative thinking. You look at Harvard schools like Harvard Business School. They've got models. They're talking about creative ways
Right.
to solve and
Yeah.
develop business strategies. You see, so
And
it's
that's
really
creative intelligence.
yeah,
Really.
Right.
So it's,
Got to go for a break?
Let's go to a break on the
Yeah.
other side, talking to Dean Moore. We'll be right back on the K. Thompson Live Show.
GoPro Radio, the fastest growing network in the galaxy, is leaner and meaner with a new attitude, new technology, and a brand new lineup. Tune in and get wired every Wednesday, starting at 5 p.m. Eastern with the BCS Experience featuring Byron C. Saunders, formerly of New York City's WBAI. Then at 6 p.m., it's the Black Agenda TV Express featuring sought-out political commentator Glenn Ford, formerly of America's Black Forum. Then at 8 p.m., it's time for K. Thompson Live with the legendary radio host K. Thompson of Inner City Broadcasting's WLIB and her son, renowned actor Eric Payne, who starred in such films as Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing, Drop Squad, and many more. Then, at 9 p.m., it's Food Rap, featuring Nina Markel, a.k.a. the unofficial mayor of Jersey City, and former Viacom marketing guru Shauna Glover. Last but not least, at 10 p.m. Eastern, it's The Sexy Party Show, with the bad boy of dating Mr. Locario of I Love New York fame and his partner in crime, Miles Cunningham. So get wired every Wednesday from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern only on the GoPro Radio Network, www.goproradio.com. Listen to the voices in your head.
You're listening to content developed by the GoPro Radio Network, the fastest growing network in the galaxy. GoPro Radio Network. Listen to the voices in your head.
as I said, you know what? I've seen that.
And we're back. Go ahead, continue.
We're just
K. Thompson
reminiscing.
Live,
Daryl
Eric
said
Payne and Daryl Moore.
they said he see me in my neighborhood
Yeah.
there walking. So,
Yeah.
but as I was just saying, and I was what I'm sharing with everybody, you guys out there, that Dean Moore is strikes me as an academic, meaning that he likes not only the, like I said, the application and working from the professional side, but the discussion, the teaching,
The theory.
Yes.
the theory, the
Yes.
development of theory, and defining new theories of your field. So
Thinking, that's the creative process.
exactly, and
Yeah.
you know, I myself, in talking and learning new things, or if I'm talking about acting or filmmaking, there's a certain academic side to issues that you're into,
Absolutely.
and that you learn and you just want to talk about with other people, peers in your field, and kind of exchange ideas and things like that. And so, I mean, you might want to elaborate on that. I know there's some things you
Sure,
want to talk
yeah,
about.
yeah, that's true. I think, because it is such a, I think, a compelling area to work in. The visual arts, we could talk about it in that context as well, but design in particular. And, this whole notion of a creative process, and we're not talking about a formula, really.
Exactly.
It's not like, and for instance, when I was, just as anecdotally, when Thompson Delmar came to me and we had to put together the book proposal, because that's what you have to do. I told him, I said, well, look, I'm not really interested in writing a textbook, a how-to book.
Right.
I said, because there are a lot of those. There are books like that out there.
Mm-hmm.
What I really wanted to do was to have an opportunity to talk to designers across disciplines, and to find out how they approach solving design problems, whether they're working on a new line, like Patrick Robinson was one of the people I interviewed for the book. Amazing designer. He started out Armani White, a design house in Europe. He was the creative director at Gap more recently. And I forget, he lands on his feet. He's amazing. But anyway, to get inside, their minds, to get them to articulate their approach to, in this case, I dropped Patrick Robinson's name, his approach to creating a line, maybe for Perios, that was one of another houses that he worked for.
Right.
So, talking to people like that, people like Paula Scher of Pentagram in New York City, who's designed maybe arguably one of the most recognizable identity programs in the world, with the City Corp or Citibank logo.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. And they were able to share those stories, but they also talked about how they started. But they talked about how they got to, the solutions that they got to. And each one is a different journey, a different approach.
Right.
And so that's really helpful. When I'm in the classroom, in the studio, trying to not just inspiring, but really trying to help inform students that it's not just about making a pretty picture.
Yeah.
Right.
Really.
Right.
When Steve Jobs came up with the iPod, that really changed how we get music.
Yeah.
It wasn't about, I want to make this really beautiful device. Now, of course, Apple, all they do is make beautiful devices.
Right.
Yeah.
But they're beautiful, and the functionality is as amazing as the beauty.
Right.
So his thing was about the access to the music, and wow, okay, yeah, we're gonna have each song. You can buy a song for 99 cents, and you can, so there's that. So there's the strategy before you even put pen to paper or hand to mouse, if you're using a mouse these days. Really thinking about, what's the problem here?
Right.
Before you go to do that. So it's really important.
So so when you talk about that design, and you talked about iTunes, do you think in designing the iPod that iTunes was eventually going to be, because that's another area of platform that they were able to use. So they designed the physical product, MP3 or the iPad, and then you have the iTunes where they're able to use this product to download the music.
Brilliant.
But do you think that was part of their initial design, or is it just another area because that's outside the realm of design is what I'm getting at?
Well, that's a business plan.
Right. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah,
part of the business plan.
That's I think no question they were linked. That's the genius of the late Steve Jobs. I mean, and of course it wasn't just him by himself. But
So the approach to the design was that what applications are we going to be able to use this design in, right?
Yeah.
Across the board.
Oh, absolutely, they're connected. Absolutely, they're connected.
Now let me ask you some real, on the street questions. When someone designs, because we talked about the iPad, right?
Sure. Yeah.
iPod. So you look at it, it's a nice looking. It has aesthetically, it's nice looking.
Right.
The functionality, I haven't used one. The few times I did try to use it, it seems to be relatively simple.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, all of that goes into the ability to use it, the simplicity to use, if it's an apparatus or a device, the design thought process goes into how simple do we want to make someone to use it and this and that, right?
It's about the user experience. Okay, that's a key part of the design process. The end user, their experience. What's that really going to be about?
Right.
We want to define that a particular way so that they're going to have a relationship with the thing, whatever the widget, whatever the thing is.
Right.
So and then once you get the consumer that way, and you develop something, thinking down the road, because you don't want them just at one time. You want them to keep coming back.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, with more and more.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something. The graffiti artists.
Yeah.
I remember when they
Street
were.
art.
Yeah, the police were just knocking them and
Right.
throwing them in jail and all this sort of stuff. I thought that the graffiti artists were absolute geniuses.
Social
I
activists,
loved it.
actually.
I loved it. I loved everything about them.
Oh yeah.
And when Lisa started, really getting me into that, I said, wow, this is really, really
Well, there's some of those
fantastic.
guys that became
So,
famous design artists,
yeah.
right? I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Well,
uh-huh.
graffiti. I mean, it's. I guess maybe perhaps there's some controversy with graffiti arts, but it's a recognized form of expression. And I was just looking to see if I could find
That's
one of the
the
colleagues.
controversy.
The,
Because, they're doing it and they're doing it on.
well, it's public property.
Yeah.
So there is a.
But there's
You
public
can't.
statements that they're making also.
I said in many ways, the graffiti artists are social activists.
Yeah.
on my camera.
Visual social
Yes.
activists.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm holding up D. Moore's book. This is your second book?
That's my first book.
It's your first
That's
book.
my
Yeah.
first book.
Design and
Is
the
that the
creative
one where you
process.
mentioned
This is
And
this is
that's
the
the
one,
one.
and this is the one where my mom is mentioned.
No, your mom's not
Had to
mentioned. Your
get
mom
that
is
in.
acknowledged.
So that one, and we want you
Acknowledged.
to and this book
But
passages.
this is a catalog. So
This is a catalog,
That's one
okay.
you can't find in the bookstore.
And that's the Brick City, the remnants of the Brick City on
pretty
the
much.
cover here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So D. Moore is, as you can see, extremely accomplished in the design field, and I didn't know nothing about it, but it's such an interesting field, and the conversation we have just flowed for it. I love talking to other artists, and certainly your experience being taught by my mom and being influenced. So
Well,
I want us to continue in another
I
conversation.
want to know
Ronnie.
how
time is almost.
students who are getting ready to go to college. How
well,
do they?
we've got just to
William
bring. I know
Patterson
we're short on
University.
time.
We've got 1 minute now.
We have 1 minute, but so I've come full circle. Back from California, I was appointed dean of the College of the Arts and Communication at William Patterson University. Amazing opportunity. We've got outstanding programs in music,
Yeah.
communication,
Yeah.
and the visual arts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's put a plug in it. It's time to end right now on the K. Thompson Live Show. We have Dean Darrell Joseph Moore. We want to do it again.
I want to come back and talk
Because-
more about the
yeah.
programs. that
Yes,
we've
you
had.
will.
because
Yeah.
that wasn't good enough.
From
'cause
William
I'm-
Patterson University.
Uh-huh.
William
That'll be
Patterson
part. That'll be
University,
part
so-
2. And William Patterson University, College of the Arts and Communication.
Okay.
That's
all right.
it. Thanks. He's got a good radio voice, but we'll keep him in design.
Yeah.
We don't want no competition.
Well, thank you for that.
We'll join you next week, everyone, for K. Thompson Live.
See ya.
Well, time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah,
Come
yeah.
on,
Did it
Mohammed.
go?
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.